We are starting off with Marcus Ambrose, driver of the number 9 Stanley Ford. Marcus was last year's Coors Light pole winner. And Marcus, just open up talking about coming here to Sonoma and racing the first road course event of the season.
Well, I think we're all excited on the Stanley team to come here. It's been a good track for me in the past, but there's no certainty of success here. This is one of the hardest road course races you can go to. Our cars are very heavy. They've got a lot of power. They don't stop very well. And the grip is of the premium out there. They just seem to, the combination of tyre and car and track here makes the fall off of the grip pretty extreme. So last year we had the fastest car for one lap, got the pole position, and would be the fastest car on the first couple of go rounds on fresh tyres. But we certainly didn't have the endurance to keep the grip for the long run. So that's really what we're working on here this weekend. Trying to make sure our car's good on lap 30, not just lap 3.
Great, and something new for this weekend, we're going to a group qualifying format. We've done it in the Nationwide Series the past couple of years, and this will be the first time in the Sprint Cup Series. If you can just talk about that new qualifying format.
Well, I actually don't know the exact format of it. I just know that they're going to give us 5 minutes or so to bust off the fastest lap. I'm pretty sure that it's still going to get done on lap 1 or 2 of the 5 minutes. I'm not sure that you want to be out there for too much longer than that, just with the track fall off of grip. So my strategy is not going to change that much. I'm just going to go out there and try and bust off that first lap as fast as I can and see if it's good enough. I guess if you make a mistake, it gives you a second chance to not. In the original format, the one lap format, if you made a mistake and you lost a second, you could lose 20 spots on the starting grid. With this format, I guess if you make a mistake, you've got a second lap to make amends. You may not get the pole or may not go as fast as you could have on the first lap, but you're certainly going to minimise the position loss. You'll probably get a more indicative lineup of cars based off their speed because last year there was a bit of randomness if you made a mistake.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and open for questions. Please state your name and affiliation. Wait for the wireless mic. We're actually going to start in the back of the room with Woody.
Woody Kane, Motor Racing Network. Marcus, it seems like over the last several years, things have changed quite a bit on road courses to where it's gotten a whole lot rougher. I was curious if you have an idea why you think that is and why it seems to have escalated so much over recent years. Well, I've only been around since it's been tough because when I came in, my first road course in the Sprint Cup Series was 2009, and it was hard then. So I don't think it's changed that much. I think the level of competition continues to get stronger in NASCAR. It just has to. I mean, there's more money in the sport, and there's more at stake. So everyone's putting a lot of effort in, and the level of driver on road courses is as high as anywhere that I've seen. So. There's no gimme. I mean, if you look down the sheet of people who can win, there's at least 20 drivers that could win. I mean, would you have put Clint Boyer in that list last year when he won around here? Probably not. So it could be even thicker than that. It could be 30-odd drivers that have a chance to win.
Lynn.
Lynn Hunting Crash Media Group. You mentioned that you didn't think that there'd be that much difference on the two kinds of qualifying. But do you have a better chance to warm your tires up? On the old way, you only got a half a lap before you had to do your flyer.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. But, we had the pressures matched to really, bring them in. The laps that I have done here, normally by the time I get to this hairpin, I've got enough tyre temperature to feel confident to sail off into turn 1 on the go lap. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think what will be an issue, perhaps, is people catching other cars that are on slowdown laps and things like that. So if you're going to wait until 1 minute to go to bust off your lap, and you're going to have guys out there rolling around coming into the pits or trying to cool their stuff down, that's probably going to be a bigger issue than trying to get your temperature up in the tyres.
Jim Noble, ESPN. You know what a win can do for you, big picture-wise, if we're talking chase and wild card thing. Is there a tendency to put too much pressure on yourself, knowing what can happen if things go right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very mindful that we've had a terrible year, and this is a really good opportunity to get our year back on track. So certainly there's added pressure there. I'd love to be, top 10 in points coming this weekend and just rolling through like a normal one, but it's not for us. We need to turn our year around, and this is a good opportunity for us. So we're looking to it to break out and have a good weekend if we can. That does add pressure, but that's just part of the job. Yeah.
Diego Mejia, Fox Supporters. Marcus, I guess your team tested here some weeks ago. Can you speak about the differences between how this car drives relative to the old one?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it really drives very similar. We were a little bit faster over the course of a run and a single lap. So I think that the trend of this car has continued, where it's a faster race car than the old style Cup car that we ran last year. But the balance and the challenges that we're fighting are very similar. Not a lot of difference. So we're just going faster when it goes bad. It's pretty much how it works. Yeah.
Marcos, Tom Zaleski for USA Today. 3 years ago was you were in had that nightmare experience in that finish, and you got over it obviously with 2 wins at Watkins Glen. How motivated are you to do well this year, and how will the new car play into your setup plan?
Well, it's just the same. It's just another race. This track has certainly eluded me for the victory. Some things are in my control. Some have been outside. But this track, it's tough. It's not going to give it to you, and we feel like we've got as good a shot as anyone here this weekend to win it.
Kimberly Uzo, Kids Scoop News. What is the biggest difference between racing in Australia and versus America?
In Australia, we drive on the other side of the car. That's a pretty big difference right there. So that is a big difference. I mean, I have to be honest with you, when I first came to America, driving on the left-hand side of the car was very foreign to me. And the other thing is just the size of this country. It's got a lot of people in it. When there's a lot of people, it tends to produce a lot of great race car drivers. So a lot of great talented drivers here in America, and Australia or other countries around the world, there are great drivers too, but there's not as many in one place. So when you come to Sprint Cup competition, that's a combination of all the junior categories and all the drivers that have shown promise and talent and have won races and championships. They all end up here in the Sprint Cup series, and that's tough because the level of competition is very high. Good question.
Jeff Clark from USA Today. Last week it came out that Jason Leffler didn't have any life insurance when he passed away. And I realize it's probably difficult on some level for race cars to get life insurance. Have you had trouble getting it when you were coming up through your career? How difficult is it to get it? And can you touch on some of the challenges of that? I
can't speak for other drivers, but I have life insurance, and I've always had life insurance. I've got a family, stuff to protect when we do a dangerous job. We have to understand those risks and be ready for all the consequences.
Did you have it when you were racing the X?
Yes.
Let's go upstairs. Do we have any questions upstairs from Marcus?
No questions.
Okay, back down here. Other questions? Claire in the back.
Clary Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. The restarts, Jeff Burton was saying people taking advantage of this track and do things on restarts. Maybe he thinks is a little aggressive and shouldn't be maybe done here. Maybe a little more cooperation and I don't know if it's this racetrack that brings that out and it's okay here where it's not other places, but if you could address that.
Well, there's not a really good way to address it. I mean, it does get crazy out there, and it's just the way the sport, the rules, that's how the rules are. If you're going to line us up 43 deep with 2 laps to go, I mean, you're just going to do things that you probably shouldn't. It's just the nature of racing. So it's, and this track shows it up more than other tracks because, normally if it's a Martinsville, once you file through turn 1, turn 2, or even the first couple of laps, everything calms down, because everyone sort of kind of finds the groove they want to be in and makes it work. Whereas on a road course, you don't have that opportunity. You're side by side on lanes at the racetrack that have never had a car on it before, and you're trying to get in position, and it's just an opportunity to really let the field settle down. So certainly it's not perfect, especially when you're deep in the pack, and for every wrong that you do to somebody, someone's going to do the wrong to you. So you're best off just staying aggressive and trying to make the most of it.
We'll go over here.
Marcos, Kurt Busch was mentioning yesterday that these kind of tracks and super speedways kind of tend to level the playing field a little bit between the larger teams and the smaller teams. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly this is a different style of race for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and car handling is very important, like it is every single week, as is drafting. I mean, you've got to have a slippery car in the draft to win the race, but it allows some of the engineering to be taken away from the sport. I mean, when you're running a 1.5 mile oval and the track's smooth and you're working an aero platform, a lot of science goes into that to make us run as fast as we do. Whereas here, these tracks is more about just getting a car that's comfortable, more linear, and then letting the driver, do the rest. And it's a little bit the same with plate racing. If you've got a really slippery car on a plate race, you'll get the pole position, but there's no guarantee that you're going to win the race, because a guy who can work that pack better than the others, he can position his car and get himself pushed to the front there at the end. So I agree with that to some degree, although they're very different disciplines, super speedway versus road course. But he's right in what he's saying. It takes some of the engineering out of the result.
Hi, my name is Louis from here, from Le Journal de Montréal, daily newspaper in Montreal. How is it to compete against Jacques Villeneuve again? You got some issues 2 years ago with him.
No, I got no issues. I think there's plenty of other drivers got more issues than me. Yeah.
How is it to compete against him?
Yeah, it's good. Look, I really like Jacques. I watched him win all those Formula One races in the World Championship, and I'm really, excited that I can race against a guy of that caliber and that reputation. So yeah, no problems with me. It's good to have him here.
We'll go upstairs one last time. Any questions?
Questions?
All right, we'll end up in the back here.
Doug Rice, PRN. Marcos, this is in the vein of, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? Question. But since we're racing in wine country, if Marcos Ambrose is a wine, what kind of wine are you, and why are you that vintage? You don't have to give a year. You don't have to give a year.
Look, I'd be an Australian wine. How about that? I don't know. I'm certainly not a wine connoisseur. If there was a beer tree, I'd be a beer tree.
Okay,
that's what I'd be.
And you'd be an Australian wine with a beehive.
I'd be a little bit dry. I'd be a dry Chardonnay from Barossa Valley in Australia.